when people go, it's really Goodison's really toxic at times when it gets bad. Yeah. But you can't have that without the other.
Okay.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We can't say it's the most incredible atmosphere you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because people get to that emotion because they care so much.
That's it. Yeah.
So when it's bad, you're going to get it the other way. And you can't have it all, it's great all the time.
But how did you handle that as a player?
Well, it's not easy. But the only thing, like I would just, the boss would say to me all the time, the only way you shut them up is by playing well, us winning, scoring a goal, and doing all the things that they think you can do.
Yeah.
So as much as you think, oh my God, one or two are getting after me here, the only way to stop it is by playing well and scoring a goal.
Before I introduce today's guest, can I ask a favour? That you all hit the subscribe button. The bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests get, particularly for this podcast. Today's guests play for Stoke City, Everton, Manchester City, Burnley and other clubs. He also managed Burnley and other clubs in England before moving to the United States and playing his part in 2 start-up Major League Soccer franchises. I'm joined today in the studio by my boyhood idol, Adrian Heath. Adrian, made up to have you in.
Good to be here, mate.
Been a while.
Yeah, we've been saying we'd do it for a long time, so it's nice to eventually get round to it.
Delighted to have you in. How did it all start then? How did your football journey start?
Stoke boy, Newcastle-under-Lyme, like all kids playing in the street, school. Eventually get picked for the school team, then you get picked for Newcastle-under-Lyme, then you get picked for Staffordshire, and it just,
not everyone does.
No. But I was probably no different than every other kid of my generation. Coming from school, taking your clothes off as you get through the door, and go and play in the street. And it's funny, I was talking about it the other week. We had a guy called Mr. McGing. I still remember his name. He was the only guy in the street who had a car. And he had a Zephyr 6, one of them big things, like American-looking things, really. And God love him, he used to park the car around the corner, so we had the run of the street.
Okay, yeah.
And it was, it's strange, isn't it? Because, we talk now about you have to do 10,000 hours to be an elite player. People of our generation, I'd done 10,000 hours by the time I was 10. Because you played.
You were just out there.
6 hours a night, and it's the old story, I know, but your mum would come in and just say, you go straight to bed, rinse and repeat. Next day was exactly the same. Went to school, came home and did it again. So it was, and like most kids who eventually made it, I knew from the age of 10, 11, that I was going to be a football player. And there was no doubt in my mind. And once you get to that age where you're getting pretty good at it, and then you commit, don't you? You can't do it half-hearted. You have to be all in, and we used to play on a Sunday at the other end of the city. I used to walk 6 miles to go and play on a Sunday morning at a 10 o'clock kickoff. I'd be walking from like 9 in the morning. From my house, I'd be 6 o'clock, and I'd have to get there for 9:30, and I'd run, and then I'd get a lift back to go and get a lift back into Newcastle. But you did it because that's what you wanted to be. You wanted to be a footballer.
So how did Stoke pick you up then? How did that come about?
I was in Stoke last night, Newcastle-under-Lyme. I'm saying that because my wife always says, we're from Newcastle, we're not from Stoke. And had a little bit of a reunion with some of my schoolmates. And we played, Staffordshire schoolboys played the West Midlands at Leek Town. And my mate played in the game last night. We were talking about it. And after the game, a Derby County come up to me and my dad, Aston Villa, Port Vale, but Stoke were there as well. Yeah. And the guy called Cliff Burks, who every Stoke player of that generation, when you go through, Denny Smith, Alan Bluer, Mickey Pedgick, Alan Dodge, you go through all them players who came through at Stoke at that time, all went through Cliff Burks. He was like the
guru.
Yeah, he was their main scout. And I think Cliff might have been a little bit surprised about how many people were around my dad when we finished. And he was at my house the next night when I came in from school. And normally at that time, they'd take you for 2 or 3 weeks to have a look at you. And that night, he put schoolboy forms in front of me. And being a Stoke fan, been from the age of 4, home and away with my dad. Very rarely missed. And, I signed straight away. Yeah. And then, obviously, you're in, playing for the B team, and then occasional game in the A team. And then you're just waiting, are they going to take me as an apprentice at 16? And fortunately, they did, But I had a choice. Could have gone to the Villa, could have gone to Wolves, could have gone to Derby. Well, I always remember my granddad, who used to go to the games with, looking at me as if, like, and it was like just a given that I was going Stoke, and I was always going to go to Stoke because it was my team, So, no, that's how it all started. But and I couldn't have had a better apprenticeship. Really proper club. We had a guy called Frank Mountford, God love him, who loved local kids getting the opportunity. And this was a time where you could take kids from anywhere. Yeah. So you always, like every club had 2 Irish kids, 2 Scottish kids, or whatever. And but Frank had this thing about being a local boy, and he was tougher with us than anybody else. But he always looked after us, and I had a great apprenticeship. Really good grounding of what's right, what's wrong, and not just in football, but in life in general. Being well mannered, being a good person, really. Yeah. So I couldn't have wished for a better apprenticeship.
I always ask people this, who were in it, when apprenticeships were different than what the kids are now. Do you think?
I know what you're going to ask, and I know the answer.
Oh, is it any? Do you think you had a better grounding than what we give the younger players now, just simply because you had to do all of those duties and things?
Well, Frank used to say to us that you've never had any responsibility in your life until today. So we used to do the kit. Yeah. We used to do the boots. We used to do the changing rooms. I nearly said locker room. Bit of American
accent.
Yeah. And 6 of us, and I'm still friends with all the 6 of them. 2 great years. But we had... if I didn't get the 4:45 bus home from Stoke to Newcastle, I got in at 9:30, because then the buses stopped running regular on that route. And many a time, if Frank had come in, if he didn't think that the dressing room was clean enough, or we hadn't cleaned the boots well enough, or somebody hadn't done it, no, start again, the whole lot.
Wow.
So I'd get the 5 to 7 bus in the morning, and I'd get in at 5 o'clock at night, and if I didn't get the 5 o'clock, that was like 9:15 at night. And no complaints, because we were doing what Denny Smith had done, what Alan Bloor had done, what Jackie Marsh had done. I can go through all them people who come through. We were just doing what they'd always done, and you get on with it. And it gave you a sense of achievement when you signed professional. And it was, and then the next group were coming in, and it was a really good grounding, and it gave you more responsibility. You woke up in the morning knowing that you would get to work, and got to make sure the kit's done. You've got to make sure everybody... And we used to have to do it like it was in the military, where the towel would be at the bottom, and then it'd be sock shorts and the slip, and 2 pair of boots underneath, which would be a pair of match boots and a pair of rubbers, all immaculately clean. Yeah. We used to have to do in between the leather and the sole with a toothbrush to make sure there was no dirt or anything. And if it wasn't, Frank would come in and go, hey, do it again. Wow. Start again. So... life lessons, maybe, I don't know, but I wouldn't have changed that for the world, Baz. Really wouldn't have done.
Yeah, I do think it is. I get trying to give the younger lads, the best opportunity, but I don't see that impinges on anything, because you're given discipline and you're building something, and like you said, as you go through, then the next lot coming and they have to learn it, and the respect and all that.
And there's a real sense of satisfaction and achievement when the club say to... I remember I played for the first team for a year as an apprentice. I was earning £14 a week, and they gave me £8 for my mum as board. And and the clubs... I played for a year, and the thought that my dad used to say to me, have they said anything about a pro yet? Yeah. Thinking back, I was always going to get a pro. Yeah. But you were never certain until you actually signed it, Yeah. And it was literally one of them. 3-year contract, £50 a week. Take it now, sign it now, or we're taking it away. And you just signed it, but you were delighted, And I played the first year I played, and it went really well. And Terry Connery, one of the legend at Stoke City, a good friend of mine, he pulls me and he goes, right, you're going to go in there now to the manager, and you're going to say to him, I need a new contract. There's all these teams looking at me, and I go, yeah, but what am I going to ask for? He goes, you ask for £500 a week. I go, Terry, I'm on 50 quid a week. I can't ask. Go in and ask him. Anyway, the manager must have caught wind that I was coming in. Yeah. He's waiting there with the chairman. And I'm like sweating outside, man. You know what I mean? I've got to go in, and I'm sweating. And he goes, what do you want? And I got, thinking about new contract, boss. He went, new contract? You just signed one last summer. I go, yeah, but, I'm best player in the team now, and I'm scoring. I'm playing for England under 21s, and I think things have changed. Oh, chairman's there, and the chairman looks at me and goes, what are you looking for? And I remember mumbling it. I go to the fan, how much? He goes, I go, 500. He goes, you're talking a month now, aren't you? You're not talking a week. And I'm like, I just want to get out the room, and I'm petrified, and I ended up settling for 75 quid a week, I think. Signed another 3-year deal, but I got 75 quid a week or something like, But it was just different then. Yeah. No agents, no nothing. No. You just wanted that opportunity, and, But it was, it's funny if you want to think back, all life lessons, I suppose.
Unbelievable. Do you remember your debut?
Yeah, played against Northampton Town away in the League Cup. And I remember running out there, and it was the old Northampton ground, and they had a rope down one side because the cricket field was on that side.
Oh, yeah.
And I thought, this is the big time. There's a cricket ground on the side here and all that. And I played in midfield with Howard Kendall. And that was my, obviously that's when I first started to get to know the boss. And we played away at Fulham I played well that night, and we went to extra time, and we won. And then I played at Fulham on the Saturday, and I had a complete nightmare. I was awful, and I remember it. And Howard said, "That's the reality, son. You'll get better, but it's not easy." Because obviously I was full of it, after my debut in the League Cup, and that was the beginning of it. And that was really when I first got knowing the boss, and getting a real relationship with him, because I used to have to look after his boots. Okay. We had like 7 or 8 players that each player looked after. Yeah. And Howard's was one of mine, and then obviously our friendship grew from there.
I was just looking at some of your statistics. Obviously, that was your first year, wasn't it? Your first goal. Do you remember that one?
No. Who was it?
Okay. I thought I'd written it. Oh, yeah. You beat Derby 3-2. You scored the second goal to make it 2-0.
Yeah.
I can't tell you about it because I'm a little bit younger. I'm just telling you that's what it was. It was you beat Stoke, Derby County 3-2. But that you became a first team regular 80-81. Yeah. 43 appearances, 5 goals.
Yeah.
We were more midfield, weren't you?
Yeah, I was more midfield then, as a midfield too. And that's where I got in the team and started playing with Howard, and learning the job with him really. And when I was at school, I was a really good athlete cross country. Right. I finished 3rd in the English schools, running one year, and so I could run box to box. I could forget it. Yeah. And it was Howard actually, even in them days, said, "You're going to have to start playing further forward," because I could get back. Yeah. But I always wanted to make the penalty area and get in the box. You know, and so.
Well, we see that. I mean, sorry, it was 79-80 was when you got in. You played them 43 games to 5. Then 80-81, 41 games, 7 goals. So you're
starting to get more in there and everything. But it's when Howard always said, I remember him pulling me and saying, "I'm going to Blackburn. I'm leaving and going to Blackburn as player manager. If it goes well," now I remember it as if it was yesterday. He goes, "If it goes well, the dream for me is to go back to Everton as the manager. And if that's the case, I'm going to come and get you." So when, I got in the England under-21s then, and it started going well, and there was a lot of talk about clubs looking at me, a lot of the bigger clubs, and I would have kept in touch. The boss kept saying, it's going well. Blackburn got promotion and we're doing well, and then eventually got the job. And, I had a choice of going to about 4 clubs at the time. Coventry City, when Dave Sexton was there, who were doing really well. They offered more money, actually, than Everton. And then Aston Villa, Ron Saunders was there. And I'd played under 21s, God love him, with Gary Shaw, who, obviously tragically. Yeah. So I think he had visions of me and him playing together because we'd played well for England. And but my mind was set early on, that when I got the opportunity, I was gonna come here. And I ended up getting suspended for a week because I wouldn't sign for Coventry. The club, Stoke, needed the money at the time, and I wouldn't go. I wouldn't go for talks. I said I don't feel as though Stoke, Coventry are much bigger than Stoke. Yeah, I'm going to go. I want to go to Everton, and Everton haven't offered any money, and I said, well, not what I've heard, and I'm going to sit tight, and And I remember I met Howard at the Swan pub at Bucklow Hill, just off Junction 19. Everton had played Man United and drew 1-1 that night. I think Sharpie might have scored. And I met him after. And it was same thing. There you go. There's a contract. And I went, and I wasn't with an agent, I was with a financial advisor. Yeah. And you remember.
So you've gone up in the world from you going in, yeah.
Not that we had a choice anyway. He just said to me, he goes, there's a contract. I'm putting you on the same money as Sharpie and all the other guys. Take it or leave it. So there was no negotiation. I just signed it. And that night I was going to go home back to Stoke, get all my gear. And he went, no, you're coming with me now. So I got on the car with him and ended up doing the medical and everything. I was training the next morning, Oh
my God!
So there wasn't what you call protracted talks. No. It was like over a pint of bitter in the Swan at Bucklow Hill, and we did it in like 2 minutes.
That's mad, isn't it? 750,000. The image of you on the side of Goodison signing that young baby face. Yeah, because you were just 21, weren't you?
Yeah. And I was. I can't tell you how excited I was because my uncle had moved up to Liverpool from Stoke, working up here. So we used to come up midweek games. So if Everton were playing on a Tuesday night or Wednesday night, whatever, I'd come up and go to Goodison.
Oh, so you'd already been watching Everton games?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I think the fact that Howard was the manager, I was never going to go anywhere else really. I had a chance. Late on, at that time, I had a chance to go to Chelsea. And Chelsea being Chelsea, London and all that. But I had that brief moment where I thought, that might be quite nice. But no, I was... and my dad, who was a big football lover, loved Everton. Harvey Ball and Kendall and all that sort of stuff. That was my dad's sort of era of watching Everton. And so it was never any doubt, Baz.
I mean, Villa as well that year. That was the year they won the European Cup. So that was a big thing. You made your debut in a 1-1 draw against Southampton for the Tops.
I always remember, I don't remember this, I think it was Howard that said something. He's a cross between Alan Ball and Alec Young. And God, I didn't know Alec Young was, other than the name, Yeah. And Colin Harvey, I always remember this. Cole come in the dressing room one day, in front of everybody, he went, a cross between Alan Ball and Alec Young. And he went, you're going to have to be some fucking player, son. And I looked up at him and he went, you're going to have to be some player, son.
No pressure then?
No pressure, yeah. And I remember that night we played and Alan Ball played for Southampton that night. And I thought, I'm going to have to get around him but he was still too good. He played one touch all night, and whenever you speak to Howard in them days and Colin, I used to say to him, "Go on then, who's the best player you ever played with?" And both of them straight away to go Bally.
Multi.
Yeah, straight away. Yeah, best football Everton's ever had. That's what they thought.
That was what they said. Yeah.
And I used to obviously I'd played with Howard.
Yeah,
Colin was still arguably the best player in training with a plastic hip. Seriously.
Yeah.
And I used to think how good ball he must have been for these two to go instantly. Not even a thought of, well, he wasn't bad. Straight away to go, Bally. Bally's the best player we've ever had. So he must have been some player.
Some player. I remember seeing him for Southampton, obviously never for Everton, but yeah, you just hear people who talk about him, and just like my dad would say, "Oh, he's just done."
When I went to when I first started when I went to America, you'd start to see people who played with him over there.
Oh yeah.
And bearing in mind, they'd go in the summer, wouldn't they? Be like a little holiday for him, They'd go in the off season. And I got friendly with Alan Hudson, who was my sort of hero growing up.
Yeah,
being a Stoke
fan. Wasn't he? Yeah.
I remember speaking to Woody one night, and he went. I said to him, "Al, who do you?" He said, "Oh no," I said, "Bowley's the best player I've ever played with." And it was like a common thread. Whoever you spoke to, it was like common knowledge. It's Bowley, as if there was no. There's no sort of debate, really. So he must have been some player.
Must have been all right, yeah.
That must have been not a bad midfield.
Seems all right, yeah.
Harvey Bourne with Kendall. Can you imagine it?
Seems all right, yeah. It seems not too bad. Imagine it nowadays, God.
Well, I always say this, and people always talk about our team. I'll digress a little bit here, but when people go, best Everton 11, I don't think you could ever, before it even starts, them three are playing.
Without any...
Harvey Bull and Kendall are playing. Hey, and nobody loves Reedy and Brace and all them guys more than me. But having played with Howard, even if he was coming to the end of his career, training with Colin, and then listening to what they say, and Bowley, man of the match in the 66 World Cup final.
19.
I think them three are in before you even start. So, it just goes to show...
You have to do with the ones you've seen. That's the only way I can ever qualify it, because their sort of legend is... You couldn't compete with it, could you, with what people say?
And I loved it at the weekend. I was at the stadium, and the club invited me into the boardroom, and I was in there with Reedy, Kevin Ratcliffe and Joe Royal, and just hear Joe wax lyrical about him. It's and I love the stories, because I love old players. I love talking to old players. And they will be old now, because I'm getting old. And but Joe, even at the weekend, was saying, like, what a team that was, by the way. That team that won the league the last time. When you look at Harvey Bourne, Kendall, Joe, England centre forward, Labby, England centre back, Ray Wilson, England full. It's
not
some
a bad
team.
Side there,
Some team. Yeah.
No wonder he won. First goal, Brighton away in a 3-1 defeat.
Yes.
First time
Remember that one?
Yeah.
The Goldstone.
Yeah,
they got the old Goldstone ground. Yeah, and we that was.
Did you settle in easy?
No. I settled in off the field.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Great set of guys. Loved living in Liverpool.
Yeah.
But no, the team was really inconsistent. We could play so well and lose a game, play bad and win. 1 week really good, next week really bad. And one of the things I think the why Howard was so set on that group was he saw, if you'd have seen some of the play that we would do in training Monday to Friday, and then Saturday just didn't materialise. But I think he believed in the process, if you like. That's what they say now. Just, it's going to come right because I see it Monday to Friday. And eventually it did. But, it's been well documented, I think, that Reedy coming in and Andy Gray really gave that young group, because like me, Sharpie, Gary Stevens, Trev, Rats, we were all relative young 22, 23, so... And they were making the way in the game as well, but certainly Reedy coming in and Andy certainly helped everybody, You
were not my kids. Someone once said. Someone once said.
Yeah.
First goal at Goodison, the 3-3 with Man U. Remember this game?
Yeah.
I remember this game.
Yeah.
I remember being there and Ashley Grimes scored for Manchester United. What a head he had. But your first goal at Goodison Park, that must have been a nice feeling.
Yeah, it was. United, and obviously, I think then we were starting to... I felt that I was settling in, and the team was suddenly
starting to go,
come together, and it was the first year. I would say was indifferent, inconsistent, me as well as the team. But
you still scored 6 goals though. You come in January for a and you were in midfield, weren't you?
Yeah.
To get 6 goals in 22 appearances in all competitions, you get.
But that was generally my career was 1 and 3. Yeah. And when you look at where I played, because I didn't always play up the front. I was behind or wide, So, I always had an instinct, I think, to get in the box and work hard to get in there. Because, as they always say, for every one chance you get in there 10 times and nothing happens. And you have to keep believing that the next one, it's going to come and drop for you, which he did.
I'm going to show this to me lad, because that's what I keep telling him, because he stopped making runs, and it's there you go.
Yeah, if you don't buy a ticket badge, you don't win the lottery, do you?
Things started, I mean, that season, 82, 83, be fair, 82, wasn't it? 81, 82 season, and 82, 83, 47 games, 11 goals. We finished 7th. And in that 80, I think when you look back at that era, you just think, that team wasn't doing anything, and then all of a sudden it clicked. But, 7th isn't that bad. The United game at Old Trafford, we go there, it was a tough draw, quarter-final, and then Frank Stapleton scores in the 94th minute.
Yeah, but we played really well
Played brilliantly that then, probably would have beat them at Goodison in the replay. And
I always remember that day, because that was when you used to have the end behind the goal at Old Trafford.
Yeah.
They don't put you up the corner like they do now.
Yeah.
And we had the whole of that end behind the goal. The atmosphere was electric that day. And that was another one of them games that we were devastated after the game. I remember being in the dressing room and how the fuck we lost that game, And then
Carey winning the header.
Win the header, and then Frank scored. Great finish.
Yeah.
But it was another one of them where you thought, hey, we're getting there.
Yeah.
We're moving in the right direction. And I think the belief was starting to come within the group, But that was devastated, that one.
That was and then again, obviously 83, 84. We didn't start that season brilliantly. Your first goal against Chesterfield at home in the League Cup. We'd won away. I remember. I don't know if I should say this, but I will. I remember that night because there was only 8,000 in the ground. And we come out to warm up, and this is, people talk about certain fans, but I remember someone shouting something to you as you come out, something like you're not playing very well or something. Just warming up, and you just, never ever left me. You just turned around and went, "Thank you."
Yeah.
And then obviously you go and score a goal and all that, and it was like that was what Goodison was like at that time. 8,000 that night we draw.
But what I will say is when people go, it's really. Goodison's really toxic at times when it gets bad. But you can't have that without the other.
Okay.
If you know what I mean.
Yeah.
We can't say it's the most incredible atmosphere you've ever seen.
Yeah.
Because people get to that emotion because they care so much.
That's it. Yeah.
So when it's bad, you're going to get it the other way. And you can't have it all... Oh, it's great all the time.
But how did you handle that as a player?
Well, it's not easy. But the only thing, like I would have just, the boss would say to me all the time, the only way you shut them up is by playing well, us winning, scoring a goal, and doing all the things that they think you can do.
Yeah.
So as much as you think, oh my God, one or two are getting after me here, the only way to stop it is by playing well and scoring a goal. And at the time, it doesn't feel good. But, it's the harsh realities. But you can't have a stadium like Everton where people talk about it. I remember Wenger that day saying there's nowhere like Goodison under the lights when the stadium's rocking. But that emotion that people show when it's that good, when it's bad, they're the same people. Their emotions are the other way. You can't, and I would rather have it that way. Okay. I would rather have it where it's incredibly good and maybe bad than mediocre all the time, where the crowd don't go crazy when you win and they don't go crazy bad when you're losing. If that makes sense.
Yeah, no, it makes perfect sense. Just great listening to it from someone who's obviously played in it. The Coventry game at home in the Cup, there's a big one again. There was 9,000 stood on the street, and there was 9,000 that night, and Dave Bamber gave Coventry the lead, and obviously you equalised, didn't you? And then Sharpie, who was limping.
Yeah.
Peter E come on that night, didn't he? He come on. He wasn't. I don't think he started. He come on, and it sort of flipped, and that was a big win because we scored. I think Sharpie scored an injury time, and we win it 2-1, which would have been a replay. That was a big win.
Yeah.
And then Andy Gray signs the next day. Yeah. And then on the Saturday, he pulls one down on his chest, squares it, and you knock it in. And
I always remember that
Forest. I think
it was. Yeah. And
at the street end.
Yeah, and he says to me before the game, right, wee man, Andy, that's only he is. Does like, because he's like a whirlwind, comes in and he's
loud.
Everybody's best friend within the second he comes through the door. Wee man, I've heard you going through a barren spell, and he gave it. Just get next to me. He said, I'm going to batter the centre back today, and you will get chances, and I did. and the centre back was a young kid called Gittins, I think his name was. And I remember he was black and blue. Andy always used to lead with his elbow, and he used to just smash people. And eventually, it was like a war of attrition. They'd start to not go with the same sort of vigour, if you like, and forcefulness. And Andy's then he starts to knock it down. And it was, I realised then, I thought, just get round him, because if he doesn't win the header, the centre-back's certainly not going to win it, and he's not going to head it far. No. So it's always going to be in and around him, And then we started to build from then, didn't we?
It was so key, that, wasn't it? Because I remember speaking to Bob Latchford, and it was him or Andy Gray. Howard had spoke to Bob Latchford about coming back, and he was obviously very keen. And obviously Howard went with Andy Gray, and remember, I've done an interview with Andy before, and he said he got his medical records from Wolves and he burnt half of them. He said, because there was no way ever. Yeah. He said, he give it to the physio and they're like, I thought you'd been injured more than that, No, but what a character.
Yeah, and he was. And him and Reedy, and I always say this, it wasn't for what they did on the field. It was their personality.
Right, yeah.
It was their personality and like a force of nature. Andy was... He never thought we were ever getting beat. When he ran over the white line, there was not a negative thought in his head that we aren't going to win this game.
Right,
and he transmitted that.
Yeah, because we were struggling a bit, weren't we, at the time? As in, we weren't scoring loads of goals, and it, what like you said before, it was inconsistent. But he come in and it did. For whatever, because I remember even now I can picture the walking into my house after school and the echoes there, and my dad's going, we signed Andy Gray, and I was like, is he still got, as a kid, because being injured at Wolves, but I remember him scoring a winner in the league.
Well, he failed his medical. Reedy failed his medical as well.
Yeah, did he?
And I think we signed Reedy for 60 grand.
Yeah.
Had it been 250 grand, they probably wouldn't have signed him. Yeah. But I think 60, they've gone...
We'll suck it up, kind of thing.
And if it goes wrong, then whatever, But two unbelievable signings.
Oh, unbelievable. I mean...
Unbelievable characters. I feel blessed that I'm friends with the pair of them still to this day. I speak to Reedy. Even I've been in America now 15 years. I speak to him every week, maybe once, twice. Yeah. And same with Andy. Yeah. So... That was the other thing about that group. The bond that we created is still there. Yeah. Still there today. Like if I speak to Sharpie, Rats, Nev, Sheeds, still like regular.
Just to say,
yeah.
It's tremendous. Obviously, a huge goal for you. I mean, we did have, like you said, after that Coventry game, there was another turning point, wasn't it? Which was Coventry at home over Christmas, which was absolutely rubbish. I was there. There was 13,000. We drew 0-0. The old cushions coming down, and it was. What was so strange about this was we went to Wolves and we'd been battered at Wolves 3-0 as well. And then it was Birmingham City away, wasn't it? And I remember there was a lot of talk that Howard was he was going to be sacked if Everton didn't get a result. And
that was the first time after that game that Howard said anything to me about my performance.
After Wolves?
No, after Birmingham.
Oh, after Birmingham. Right.
And I remember him saying, I can't keep waiting any much longer, son, for you to start fulfilling what I know you're capable of. Really? And that was the first time he ever actually... And it was in front of everybody in the dressing room,
And we won that game.
Yeah. No, he did. But he's known me since I was 15, 14.
Yeah, so he knows.
So he knows what I am capable of and what I'm not capable of. And, I always remember that. But we were awful at Wolves. I remember we were terrible at Wolves. Yeah, and we won. Did we win 1-0 in Birmingham?
2-0.
2-0.
And then we had Stoke away on the Saturday in the FA Cup.
And then that was the one where...
At the old Victoria Grant, my dad took me and my brother there. And
incredible atmosphere.
Unbelievable day.
We had the Stoke end, which was the old Stoke end, which was a big end, by the way.
Big stands, yeah.
And then we had off the paddock on the opposite side, and the infamous one where he opens the dressing room window, because the dressing room was that end.
Right, okay.
At Stoke. So as you used to come out at the old Victoria ground, the dressing room, as you would come out onto the field, would be on the left.
Right.
And
so by that end.
And he opened the windows and he just said, just don't let these people down. Don't let them down.
And singing, wasn't it?
And it was like, and we win, and then it just starts. It's like the old
Just
snowball starts going and
it's mad,
gathering momentum. And
because that was a tricky game for Everton, and obviously we went there and Alan Irvine, I think, scored. Andy made it 2-0, and we played really well that day. And we went to Stoke the week later in the league and 3-1-1, but we were just up and running, weren't we? And obviously your moment that everyone speaks about, which is I always looked at the Birmingham game and go, that's the day that it started. But Oxford United away, I mean, they beat Man United, hadn't they? And that was probably,
I think, had they beat Newcastle as well?
Yeah, I think it was United was the round before, so maybe Newcastle was the one we got that the Manor Ground, and it was that
good side, by the way.
They were getting a reputation, weren't they? And in some respects,
and
it was a horrible place, but you're getting beat 1-0. And
I always remember that day. My dad used to go all the games then, and we play at the Manor Ground, and in the end, we used to have to put pseudonyms for my dad's name because people would just go up and go, Scousers would go, John Heath. And my old man would go, no tickets. I've got no tickets. I've left you 4. Somebody's gone up and taken them. And so the amount of the away followers has always been incredible.
Yeah.
But I always remember my dad said it was really funny. They were at Oxford and we had that end behind the goal to your left.
Yeah.
And the houses really were backed onto the stand. So all the Evertonians are going in people's gardens and climbing over. And my old man said, there was a copper on these walkie-talkie. He said, you better get more reinforcements down here. He said, it's like the Grand National. They're coming over the edges everywhere, you know what I mean? And, that was another one where I don't know if the allocation was 2,000, we must have had 3,000 or 4,000 in the ground, But then that momentum started to pick up, and people always talk about that goal, and there's probably not a week goes by that somebody doesn't mention it to me. Even in America, I go to grounds and always Evertonians come up to me and go, all right. By the way, the crowd must have been about 162,000 for everybody who says I was there.
I wasn't there. I was a kid. I wasn't there.
But the thing was,
I had to listen to it on the radio.
That bottom end was icy still.
Right. Yeah.
And that was, when people say, "Oh, it was a good finish," it was a good finish because literally you couldn't.
You stood to it going. Yeah.
So I was.
You can see it a bit gingerly, but it was. I mean, that's just natural instinct of. Because you do sort of. He doesn't look. You're behind.
I'm behind Malcolm Shotton.
Yeah.
Which was a big piece to get behind. You know what I mean? Them two were psychopaths. They're probably two of the toughest defenders in the league at that time, Shotton and Briggs. Yeah. And everybody knew it.
Big lads, yeah.
Yeah. And you didn't want to be in front of Shotton and have the ball sent down the wrong side because you knew you were getting the full lot.
You were in trouble.
It was a free go for him. Yeah, so, and then I think we won the replay 4, didn't we?
4-1. Battered them at home. Yeah. And that, it was momentum then, wasn't it? And then obviously we're doing, we've got the FA Cup stuff going on as well. But the Villa game at home, obviously we've got Villa in the semi-final and, Kevin Richardson in the film, he talks about it. He's got a plaster cast on and there's a big ball mark on and everyone's saying to him.
Did it hit you? No. Well, the video shows you did. You got a big ball. No,
Because he got asked, and he obviously scored the goal and done the famous, don't come near me because his arm was wrecked, and he got asked to go for the interview and everyone was saying, hide your arm.
Great guy. And another one that was Alan Harper, people like that who were an integral part of what we did. And people don't mention it, but it certainly wasn't sort of lost on the people who played. Yeah. Without Bertie, without Richo and all them guys.
But they just come in and they were...
And played anywhere.
Now, the value of them would be incredible because they just come in.
Right back, right side, midfield, centre mid, wide left. Didn't matter.
Just done a job.
And did a job and... they were great guys.
Momentum picked up. Obviously, we got through Paul Rideout, who scored the last time he won a trophy. We got the winner down there, but we hung on. And then we had the FA Cup stuff going on as well. But Wembley, I think, was a big one against Liverpool, wasn't it? Because obviously they were fabulous. They were European champions and all of that.
And we were the better team, by the way.
And go to Wembley, and we were brilliant, weren't we, at Wembley? And obviously the moment with you and Alan Hansen. Alan Handball.
If it's VAR today...
It's VAR to penalty,
Yeah, and in them days, they got sent off as well. But we were the better team that day. And I thought for large periods at Main Road, we were the better team as well. And then we had that... Me and Reedy ran into each other on the back post. We should have scored to equalise at Main Road. And but the one thing You know, I remember that is the most disappointed and upset dressing room I've ever been in. That
Really,
night at Main Road.
Yeah.
Like, the lads were devastated.
Yeah.
And it was like Cole coming in and going, hey, you played one of the best teams in the world here and been the better team over 2 legs. So let's put it in perspective, pick ourselves up, because I think and that's not like Cole.
Nice.
Because he was like,
straight into
oh my God, he never give you an inch, like, you know.
Yeah.
And I think he thought, we've got to take a positive out of this. And I remember him coming in like and just saying, hey, I know we're all devastated, but hey, this can be the start of, and it was.
Yeah.
I think the belief within the dressing room, because we played arguably the best team in Europe.
Yeah, they were a great set. I mean, a disappointing thing that night was I haven't seen Neville Southall make ridiculous saves.
Yeah.
I asked Neville what I've asked him about it is like the goal by Souness. He good thing, flicks it up and hits it well, but I'd expect Nev to. It was a shock that it went in, but I think it's one of them, isn't it?
That Nev's normally saves.
Yeah.
Routine for him.
Yeah, routine one, and
you know.
But that was evidence, wasn't it? It was like, all right.
And do you know what I also know? Because Samuel Lee was a big friend of mine.
Yeah.
You know, we played together in England. We got a real good friendship, me and Sam. And they realised it as well. They, in their dressing room, like Dalglish and Tui and all them are going, by the way, these aren't going away.
Yeah.
These aren't going away. You know, look at the age of the team. And so not only did we start to think, I think other people started to
seeing it.
You know, maybe this is another team that's we're going to have to look after.
And then the FA Cup. Notts County away is always a big one. Andy Gray kissing the floor and everything. That was a tough game, wasn't it?
It was, I was in the crowd that day.
Yeah,
I remember
play that one.
when we scored. I always remember this. I had a new suit made. It's the first suit I ever made, rather than buying off the peg. You know, went and had a tailor and did it all. And we scored, and a guy pulled the sleeve off my jacket. I always remember it for that.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, I always remember. I go, I've just paid a fortune for this, and the guy and Everton fan jumping up and down, pulling the sleeve off my new suit. But yeah, it was. And then I always remember a story about, to give you a little idea what Andy was like. In the build-up to the FA Cup final the week, you know, it's like the big build-up and on the match day, it's the full 9 o'clock BBC, which it was in them days, because it was arguably the biggest game of the season.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
And I remember Andy coming in the dressing room and saying to everybody, if I hear one person talk about this is going to be a great day out, I'm going to knock them out. Because it's only going to be a great day out if we win. I keep hearing their players, can't wait to see my mum and dad and the Royal Box and the walk up Wembley Way and all that. And Andy went, I don't give a fuck about any of that. All I care about is that we win. The trophy is the most important thing, because nobody cares whether we play well, whether we play bad. Nobody cares. They only know who won the FA Cup in 1984, and you still remember it. And it was that mindset. That was what Andy was like. He was really driven that way, and didn't want all the other stuff which he thought on the periphery. Yeah, I don't want. Forget all that crap. Let's just go and win the game, and we'll have a great day after. And you know.
You've jumped ahead, though, because you've missed a massive moment for you and for the football club, which was obviously Southampton, a Highbury in the semi-final. Yeah. You're saying it like a by the way. Because obviously they were a really good side. Nev makes a couple of big saves.
Big saves early on,
And you pop up with a tremendous header, great finish.
From arguably the worst free kick you've ever seen. Really put a ball in, and like we're all in there expecting a whipping cross, and it bounces somehow, and it was a little bit behind me, and actually, it actually helps because it's behind me. I can't put a really crazy amount of pace on it because it would have gone over. So I had to control it
just
a little
guide
bit,
it.
and obviously Shelton's going this way, and it went up into the top corner. Yeah, great day, great journey home. I remember like the journeys back from away games in them days were like, honestly, it's like being on Magaluf for 2 weeks on a holiday. Howard would be sitting in the front with his boxer shorts with a cigar on, and he'd go, Jimmy Martin, who was the coach driver then. Jimmy wasn't always the kit man, he used to be the driver. And he used to say to Jimmy, if you go above 40 mile an hour on the way back to Belfield, you're going to get fired. So we crawled back, and we had the karaoke going on the bus, and great days. And it's strange, because for all the memories I have on the field, nearly all the things I remember were off the field stuff. But honestly, we'd get off the bus at Belfield, and like the lads would fall off the bus, but that 4 hours, 3 hours, how long it took, like live in the memory for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
I can remember.
That's all part of it, though.
And Terry Darracott would be on the mic, text would be up like, "Welcome to Radio Goodison," and all this business. Going to invite a few friends up, and we'd have to get up. And you'd have to get up, even if you weren't a very good singer.
But you fancy yourself as a singer, don't you? So
I didn't care. I just got up and, whether I was good or bad or whatever. But likes of Sheeds and people like that, but they'd have to get up and have a go at it, But it was, they were memorable journeys back.
And I guess that carries you through to
well,
winning,
it did, and
stuff.
like that day at Highbury that was another one, because the road outside Highbury Stadium, the dressing rooms opened up, and Howard had just had all the windows open, and we could hear all the Everton fans singing outside, and you pop your head out, and honestly, all you could see was blue and white. There was hardly any red for Southampton, and it's another one of them that you go, this is our day. We can't let everybody down. It's like, it's meant to be for us,
Unbelievable. Back to the cup final, and obviously we finished the season in 7th place, which is, and again, demonstrating, but finished it brilliantly.
I didn't know that.
Right.
I didn't know we finished in 7th place.
7th.
Because obviously everybody talks about the FA Cup.
Of course, yeah.
I can't even remember where. I didn't know we finished 7th.
And I'm sure it was like we'd lost something like 2-18 from that Birmingham game, which was just... Yeah, from where they were.
I remember we had an unbelievable end of the season.
Yeah, just flew up to there. And then, like you say, Watford. You played in midfield in the cup final, didn't you? Because obviously you had Sharp and Gray up front. And
it was,
we were missing Sheeds, didn't play, did he? Because Kevin Richardson played. And
it was... I ended up playing wide right. We were going to play with a 3 in midfield, me behind the front 2. And very early, they kept getting the ball wide, and Barnsley was causing a bit of trouble. And Howard said, just come and play on the right, which I'd done in the past. And it sort of got us a foothold in the game. And it's one of them games that I never at any stage did I think we were going to lose the game, ever. I knew we were going to win. Yeah. And, the rest is history, as they say.
Should Andy Gray's goal have stood?
Probably in the modern game, with the way the ruling is, that if your goalkeeper's got part of his hand on it, it wouldn't.
It wouldn't.
But in the older days, you could get after the keeper a little bit more.
No, what a day, and obviously unbelievable, and you've got that memory of winning it, and then
coming back. As I was saying to you before, a lot of my memories of the stuff after, the people, the train. We got the train from. What's the station here? Norwich Green.
This is Huntscross.
No, what's the other one? We stopped anyway, and anyway get the bus to go around the city with the FA Cup, and it was incredible. The amount of people that were on the streets for us and all that business.
Edge Hill, would it have been?
Yes.
Going off there, and then it'll pick you up and go into town.
Yeah, we got off at Edge Hill, and the bus was waiting, and like thousands outside, waiting for them to get off the train. And then when we went down and come towards Goodison and all that, it was like stuff that you never ever forget.
Is that the moments when you're on the bus and you think, that was worth it?
And I know this sounds a little bit cliche or whatever, but you're just so pleased for the people whose life revolves around. Because we're the lucky ones. We get to play. And that's, we're the lucky ones because we're professional footballer that nearly everybody wants to be. But, being a football fan, which I was as a kid coming through, and if I hadn't have made it, I'd have still been a Stoke fan going home and away with my dad. So I knew how much it meant for supporters. So I was always more pleased for the supporters than I was for us. Nice. It was a great day for us, and we loved it. But, for the supporters, especially here, where they've got Liverpool winning every week and winning the title, winning the European Cup, and it's not easy. No. So to start to give a bit back was always, great for all the players, and we never took it for granted what the Evertonians were to us. Wherever we went, wherever we played, always a great representation there, and we loved it.
more evidence. We play Liverpool in the Charity Shield and win that one. I always give it to Graham Sharp, but it was a Brucey bonus, really, wasn't it? Because Graham Sharp hit the post, didn't he? And Grobbelaar kicked it in. But that was another one, wasn't it?
But you look at their team that day, they put everybody out.
Yeah.
You know, and you know what Liverpool are like. They don't want to lose to Everton and vice versa. And when people go, it's the Charity Shield, there wasn't much charity, trust me, on the field. Because, you know, that was another one. This is a marker down for us. Let's go, you know, let's put a marker down.
And then the first 2 league games didn't go as planned. I remember us running around Goodison with the FA Cup and we got beat 4-1. You scored a penalty. You put us 1-0 up.
Yeah, and
then John Chidozie took us apart. We got beat 4-1. And then West Brom away. We get beat 2-1. You scored a penalty again. And
did we go to Chelsea?
And then Chelsea was the Friday night on live.
And played in that awful grey strip that we had. I remember that,
And Kevin Richardson scored the winner.
Why don't they ever ask people who play or support what colour, what strips they like?
You just get given it to wear, that's all.
I know, I was playing in that awful grey. I hated that strip, that grey strip.
Did you?
Yeah, I did,
But that season, obviously, you know, standouts from the season. Won at Anfield. First time in 14 years. Unbelievable. Graham Sharp volley.
The volley,
Man United 5-0 at home. Scored in that
arguably
unbelievable
one of the best performances we ever.
Because it was 5, it could have been 10.
Well, I think we had a couple disallowed. I think we had the post twice and the ball once or something.
Battered them.
That was one of the games where I thought, this is we're here now. We're going to win the league, and I always remember. I think Sheeds was then just starting to come into his own, and when we played at that particular time, it's the only time I think in my career I thought nobody's beating us.
Really? Yeah.
Nobody's beating us. If we play like we can, we're beating anybody.
Yeah.
And that was just another day where you went. It just confirms really what you were thinking, you know.
And I think the big bit of evidence in that as well was we had United away on the Tuesday or the Wednesday after the 5-0. We went to Old Trafford and we beat them there as well in the League Cup. And it was because when you've beat someone like that, and you've got them again. Normally, they want to get one over, but we just rolled on, didn't we?
Yeah.
We had one of the biggest scares we had was UCD. So we draw 0-0 away.
So 2 weeks ago, I'm in Minnesota. Get a FaceTime call. My daughter-in-law, who's married to my son, her sister is married to an Irish guy.
Okay, yeah.
FaceTime, he goes, do you know this guy? And I go, no, I'm sorry, I don't know who he is.
Yeah.
He played in that game for UCD. This was 2 weeks ago.
Oh, my God.
And I don't know if you ever remember, Joe Hanrahan has a chance on the back post. We'd have gone out on away goals.
Yeah.
With the last settings. Anyway, this was on.
That's who it is.
He was sitting in a pub with him, and he goes, "This guy says he played against you from Ireland." It was UCD. This was only 2 weeks ago. It's amazing that you mentioned it.
Unbelievable, isn't it? Because in that game as well, we missed. He could have got the far post, but they also got a free kick in the last minute at the park end. I'm thinking, if he sticks this in, we're out because it was the away goal. And luckily, they didn't, and obviously that one we got through that, and then we cruised through, didn't we? Bratislava. Yeah. Home and away, I think you scored in the second leg. We won 4-0 on aggregate. And you were absolutely tearing it up, weren't you? You were scoring goals. You know, you'd played. I was playing as well as probably at any stage in my career at that time, and feeling really confident, really sharp. I felt good with myself, and obviously the injury was come at the worst time possible. But you'd played 26 games. You got injured on December the 1st, I think it went. It was Chef Weather home. But you played 26 games at that point and scored 13 goals. You had 1 and 2, but 26. I mean, people I think I was top goal scorer, wasn't I? Yeah, it was England. In the league, England was beckoning. Yeah, I'd been to a game. Flying. I'd been to the game at Old Trafford on the Wednesday. Me and Reedy went to watch. I think it was Barcelona play Man U, and Bobby Robson told me I was going to be in the next England squad. Right. So I'm like, because I played for the 21s in England B team and all that, and I loved playing for England. Right. Yeah. I love the national team. Yeah. Still do. Yeah. And that is still the biggest regret in my career, not playing for the full team. Yeah. And I would have done because he told me I was going to play in that next international. It was. I mean. it was obviously devastating being a fan, because you were, it's like, I suppose now, like Liverpool losing Salah or something, because at that time we scored, you'd scored it or created it, and you were flying, we were flying, and such a. It's just mad. It's just a mad tackle by Marble.
It was, and I've become really close friends with Brian.
Yeah,
and it's like he says, he's never made a tackle like that in his life. But we've all done it. I don't hold any grudges to him. No. Never, because I've made tackles like that. You get crazy, you give the ball away, and you go and try and get it back. I don't think for 1 minute he meant to hurt me, if you know what I mean. The consequences we're huge, but fortunately they just carried on, didn't they?
Were you aware that Reedy then
I wasn't, because I'd gone. I remember going to the bench and Howard saying to me, "You'll be all right. Just give it a good rub." And it's like in the old days, bit of spray. Yeah. And I got up and it just sort of crumbled on me, and I knew then. And then you don't know. Then the worry is the severity of it. Of course, I remember Dr. Campbell, who did an incredible job on my knee, saying to Howard, he's got a really bad one here. And I would say it's more chances he doesn't come back than comes back, Because I had the full lot. People say it's an ACL, but I had an MCL, meniscus. It was virtually the whole, everything that could go wrong in the knee actually did. And I was, obviously devastated. And then I told you, I was always driven. But from once I got back in the rehab mode, like I was Belfield at 7 in the morning. I was at 7 in the morning in Belfield, leaving at 5 and 6 at night. Like I was like, it's not going to be for a lack of effort and wanting to get back that's going to stop me. And I was really lucky that John Clinkard was the physio.
Magnum.
Yeah. Great guy, and had a real way about getting you going. And like I was living in an apartment in Southport at the time when I first got here, and Clinks used to go to me, right, you'll come in with me. First session starts at 7. Last one will finish at 6, and then we'll go home and we'll have a few beers. And that was the end of the day. That was the
reward.
Yeah, that was the reward,
Yeah.
And I'd get there in the morning and Cole would be in, because Cole was always the first at Belfield every day. And we'd get on the bikes, and then we had the club investing in this Cybex machine, which was like revolutionary at the time, where when you pedalled, you didn't have to alter it. It altered itself for the pressure that you put on. So the resistance was whatever.
Yeah.
And like I'd go in there, Cole, it was like a competition, and he'd go, right, let's go, 15 minutes, me and you. And like the sweat would be absolutely dripping off us, like, So I'd call every morning, and I'd do my session, go upstairs, have breakfast with the lads. And they go out train, and then I'd do my second, go upstairs for lunch, and then I'd do my last session, But so, my rehab was really, really tough, but great people got me through it. And then, fortunately, I made a comeback.
How did you sugarcoat with that? Because obviously you were flying, the team was flying, and you've got the serious injury. How was it? You do your gym work and then go with them, and then they go out to training. Did you just put yourself in the space? I've got to do my work now, rather than I want to be. And Howard was brilliant. I went nearly all the games. Yeah.
So I'd travel with the team
anyway. Yeah.
So like Friday away in London, I'd be on the team bus. So I felt part of it. Yeah. The only thing I couldn't do was play, obviously, but certainly being in the dressing room before, off time, and after kept you somewhat mentally engaged, if you know what I mean.
Right. Okay. Yeah.
And so that was unbelievable in terms of how it did, And I felt all the year I'd felt great. And the worst I felt was the night in Rotterdam.
I was just gonna come on and go, because obviously
that was the night it hit me more than any. Yeah. I was sitting in the back of the stand with Mark Higgins, and Iggy was injured as well. I was like devastated.
Yeah.
European final, first in the clubs. I'm like, and I'm sitting in the crowd, and I wasn't even with the Evertonians. I was in like the the posh seats, if you like, sitting at the back with Iggy. And I remember every time I could get it down on the field, and I was on.
You were there, yeah.
But this night, I just sat up the top on my own at the end of the game, and I was like,
because devastated. I think we've got a picture somewhere, and you're not on it.
Yeah,
no, I should have been.
I was devastated. That was the night it hit me more than ever.
Yeah,
the injury.
Was it so difficult watching the team obviously go on and win the league and obviously win that, or was it literally just that night? Was the league stuff okay?
Yeah, the league stuff was okay, but you know, obviously going in the European stage and suddenly now the Bayern Munich game. But I was on the bench that night against Bayern Munich, and I felt part of the whole evening. And but the night in Rotterdam, even today, I can still remember it as if it was yesterday. Remember what a war, and sitting in the back of that stand and like feeling devastated. So pleased for the guys, obviously, but like just thinking, what am I doing sitting here?
Because we were brilliant as well.
And on that night, I wish I hadn't have gone.
Right, okay, yeah. Would it have been easier just being at home watching it? Yeah. Because they were tremendous, weren't they?
Brilliant.
Because I remember in the semi-final against Luton, you're sat in front of the duck. There's that shot of quite a few people out, and you're going, oh my God, we didn't have all them plays. And then it was similar the year later, I think, because 86, I don't think Lineker played in the semi. And then there's another one where Nev's there, Lineker's there, there's a few others. Yeah. But we end up winning the league fantastically well. Walked it in the end, didn't we? Walked the league. The European Cup and the Cup, unbelievable. Win that. Bayern Munich, amazing. Rapid Vienna, easy. The only worry is when Krankel scores and you go, don't throw it, and then Sheeds goes and kills it a minute later. And then we have Man United on the Saturday, and as a fan, going down that day, there was never a thing in my mind we had even a chance of losing it. It was would be 3 or 4-0 because we're miles better. We were amazing. With hindsight, obviously, if we'd have had another few days, I think we'd walk it.
If that had been a weekend game, and then we were playing the following weekend, we would have won the game.
Because we were knackered that day.
It came too quickly, and the part that people, it's really, I'm not saying difficult for people to understand, but when you build yourself up so much for a game, and the high that it brings, inevitably there's a drop.
There's a drop,
You know, you're back to reality, and unfortunately, it wasn't enough time for us to get that momentum back up again, for everybody to be fresh mentally, physically, and you know, in the end, you know, especially with Reedy, you know, in the situation where he was,
where he's through,
and he gets sent off, and you know, even to this day, Nev ends up going to his near post and he goes too far. He'll tell you that. Because he has an incredible effort to get to it. He nearly gets his fingertips. If he's in what he would say is best position, he saves it. He saves it, you know.
I can still, sitting here, I was in the tunnel end, and it was down the far end, and as Whiteside hit it, I'm just expecting it to go past the goal, and then it caught the net, didn't it? And then it was what it was. And, you know, we have that 2 out of 3 ain't bad banner and on that, and, you know, we were tremendous. But then we're back at Wembley, and you're fit, and... Charity Shield, you score a goal against Manchester United, you know, Lineker's debut. I mean, just before Everton signed Gary Lineker, obviously a big shock as a fan was Andy Gray. Because obviously he'd been key. And we get Lineker, and it's great. We think we've got Lineker, Gray, Heath, Sharp. Well, we're ready. We're going for the season. You know, we're going to make sure. Now, obviously, I'll come on to the European one briefly in a sec. But when Lineker signed, were you concerned because you've been injured, or were you think, well, I can play midfield, I can play wide, I can play up top?
Edward pulled me in and said to me, listen, I'm signing Lineker, and me being the way I was in the days, I went, I don't care, I'll play. I just thought I'm going to play
anyway.
And he went, I'm going to play him and Sharpie through the middle, and you're going to play wide right underneath the striker or attacking mid. And I was like, okay. And then it suddenly dawned on me actually then that, no, I want to be up front. That's where I play now. And obviously that was disappointing. And the other thing was, and it's funny, when I went to Spain eventually, when I left, Gary's in Barcelona, so we become really tight. You know, because, hey, how you doing? Show me around, and he was great. Him and his family were great to me when I was in Barcelona, but that was difficult then because I saw that, obviously, incredible year for him. But if you look at that year, Sharpie didn't play so well. She didn't score many goals. Trevor didn't. And it's the old sum of everything was better, I felt, with me playing, not him. And Edward obviously felt the same because after a year, I know it was a lot of money we got in, but at the end of that year, I'm at home in Stoke, and he drives down to see me, and I'm not in. He came on a whim.
Yeah,
he didn't ring and say, "Hey,
yeah."
So anyway, I'm Sunday off season.
Yeah.
I'm out with my mates. I don't know where I am. I'm at the pub or whatever. I play cricket, and I keep getting messages. Your mum's been on. Your mum's been on. You've got. And in the end, this is pre-mobile and all that.
Yeah.
What's up? Howard's been here like 2 hours. He's having a drink with your dad in the front room and all that. Like, I go, Howard who? I don't think for 1 minute it's the manager.
Yeah.
So anyway, I drive home, and I'd met with Chelsea the 2 days earlier. He wasn't aware of this.
Yeah.
I'd met with Chelsea.
Was this the end of the 86 season? Yeah. Nice, okay.
And they just wanted to know whether I'd be interested.
Yeah.
They were coming up out the...
Oh, the first...
Yeah.
Championship, as it is now, yeah.
League Two.
Yeah.
And he went, I've come down because I want you to hear it from me. He said, we're going to sell Gary Lineker, and want you to go, which is going to be you and Sharpie again. I think, everybody will be better off.
Yeah.
It's affected the way we play. But, and I want to give you a new contract. So I knew I had this Chelsea thing in the bag. If not, and I went, well, I don't know, boss. I'm out of contract. And what do you mean? No. I go, well, I've spoke to a couple of clubs. And what do you mean you spoke to a couple of clubs? And eventually I managed to get more out of him than I probably would have done had I not said what I did. But I had no intention. Once that was there, I wasn't going to go. But I used it as a bit of leverage.
So you're learning from your early Stoke days.
Yeah, well, he'd done it to me 3 years earlier when I just went and signed, like, you know what I mean? Yeah, so, so I was never going to go anywhere else. But once I knew I was going to be playing again.
You were back in, you scored goals that year. And then obviously, I mean, that year, 86, was just a nightmare because we lose both of them to them. And then, you still played that season 40 games and scored 15 goals, so you're still putting the ball in the net. And then obviously, the next season, we go and win the league again. And it's weird because...
we should have won the league.
I think we should have won it in 86. And in 87, I actually thought Liverpool were probably better than us, but we had so many injuries that year that the players were unbelievable. Really brought Paul Power in, and people were scratching their heads when he came in.
Kevin Langley,
was Neil Adams that year? Was Neil Adams? And we go and play some great football. I mean, you've scored a volley over your head against Norwich at home and things like that. And
the team was playing some great football at the time, but it was. The year Lineker played, we should have won the league that year. Yeah, I remember Oxford away. I think he must have had 4 1-on-1s that night, and he never missed. No, if he missed one, okay, he's missed one. Yeah. He ain't missing 4 in a game.
No, never. It's like some voodoo on the goal, wasn't it? It was weird, wasn't it?
I think we beat West Ham on the last day, didn't we? 4 or something, but
we had Southampton on the Saturday after that and beat them 6-1. We battered them. That was when they won at Chelsea. Then we beat West Ham, and obviously we went to Wembley. And even in that, the cup final, we were in so much control. Their scrap and Sheeds missed a good chance to make it 2-0, and then obviously Gary Stevens tried to curl one round Jan Mulby. He was quite big to try and bend the ball around and rush.
But even that one before the back pass, we're far and away the better.
Oh, miles better, better.
But it was, when I look back. That period of about 4 years, we were the best team in England.
Yeah, fantastic.
I know, won the league twice, but we were the best team. Yeah. And we in hindsight, we should have won it 3 times.
When you look at it, that was an unbelievable flip because they were the best team in Europe. Yeah. And not only we had to overcome the best team in the city, the best team in England, and the best team in Europe to do it. Yeah. And obviously, I mean, the European ban. How damaging do you think that was to the club?
Well, the club broke up, really, didn't it? You know, Howard ends up leaving, Trevor goes, Gary goes, Reedy ends up leaving, and then I go to Spain, and you know, it was. Had we been in Europe and playing in the European Cup, you know, chances are we'd have all stayed. So it broke the team up too early. That's for sure.
That's a fact.
Trevor Stevens and Gary Stevens aren't going to Glasgow Rangers in Scotland.
No.
If they're playing in the European Cup for Everton.
No.
Not a prayer.
No.
You know, so yeah, disappointing. But it was inevitably at some stage it's going to happen. It's going to happen. The team's going to start breaking up, and you know, we started to bring in players, and you know, I this is not a knock on the players that were brought in, like Stu McCall and all them. They weren't as good as the guys that we had.
No.
And that's not a knock on them, because the people
as a fan, I can say that,
But as the people who are replacing are virtually irreplaceable for us.
The
way that we were,
the way we played.
You know, and I always remember, quite interesting actually. Neil McDonald came right back.
Yeah.
And years later, he's coaching at, I think he was at Bolton at the time with Simon. And hey, back, how you doing? Blah blah blah. And we ended a couple of drinks after the game, and he said to me, he said, "You'll never know how hard it was for an outsider to sign with that group of players that you had." He said, "It was like you were so tightly knit, you couldn't get in." And it must have been quite difficult and intimidating because that group was so tight, and still is to this day.
Yeah.
You know, that Sheeds is not accepting anybody else.
No.
And probably I wasn't accepting anybody else. You know, Stuart McCall went on to have a great career. Reedy's our number 6.
Yeah.
And, you know, in your mind.
Yeah.
And it
Liam Wilson come in, he had a nice left foot, but he wasn't Kevin Sheedy, was he?
No, and that's what I'm saying.
Neil Adams wasn't Trevor Stephen.
No.
People like that. Kevin Langley wasn't Paul Bracewell.
If you look at them players that we're talking about, they'll go down as arguably some of the best players in the club's history.
Ever, yeah.
So it's no knock.
Team's the best.
Yeah,
the best team.
No knock on the players that were brought in. You know,
it's just quality, isn't it? I mean, you know, every full season you play for Everton, you were in double figures every year.
Yeah.
The 2 you didn't get because you weren't there.
Yeah.
Half a season you still, and then obviously leaving the club. Was it a shock? Because I know that. I remember you come off the bench at home to Forest, I think it was, and you equalised. We were getting beat 1-0 and you scored. And that might be the last game you scored for us, but all of a sudden you were off to Spain.
Yeah.
I mean, how did that come about?
We played away at Crystal Palace, and the manager, Javier Clemente, who in Spanish terms is like Brian Clough, said outrageous things. He went to watch Mackenzie, the kid from Crystal Palace, who scored the goal against Man City and then ended up for Man City.
Yeah.
What's his name?
Is it Leon Mackenzie?
No,
not Leon Mackenzie. No.
Steve Mackenzie, whatever.
Yeah,
he went to watch him.
Yeah.
And I'd played that night, and I did particularly well.
Yeah.
And then Gary Lineker's agent, a guy called John Holmes, rings me the next day and goes, "Would you be interested in going to Spain?"
Were you thinking Barcelona?
Real Madrid. Yeah. So I went, "Why? Which team?" And he went, "Espanyol." And anybody who knows me, I was like an encyclopedia of European football. I
loved it.
Ratters used to say, "Here he is, Stato," and all that, like, you know. So that last year they'd played in the UEFA Cup final against Bayer Leverkusen and got beat in the final. They were 3-0 up and got beat on penalties in a final. Yeah, and they came in and they agreed a fee with Everton, and then I go over and like triple what I'm earning at Everton.
Wow.
And I get there, it's Barcelona, sun's out, and he meets me, and so anyway, I signed.
Yeah.
Bearing in mind Cotty's at Everton.
Yeah.
So that was
another thing.
Me. Yeah. No, that was Colin Harvey told me. He said, "I'm bringing Cotty in. He's going to be the number 1." And so it's like, here we go. The writing was on the wall. And I think Colin wanted to get his own team together. So it was the right time. As you say, most of the guys that I'd played with for the previous 4 or 5 years had moved on. So I went, and it was great. But it was funny because I signed for him, and I'm like really excited. And Clemente was an incredible character. He's sitting there with an interpreter, and he's looking at me, and he's talking in Spanish, and obviously I don't understand a word.
Yeah.
And he goes, Javier was just saying he's really pleased that you've signed. Because I'd mentioned that, the team I've seen the final, they're a really good team. And he just wants you to know that team that played in the UEFA Cup final, 8 of them players have been sold, and this team's not very good. So I go to him, I wish you'd have told me that before I've just signed this contract. And it was, but I had a great time.
Did you?
Yeah. I don't regret it. And I actually regret coming back.
I was going to say, because it was a year, wasn't it? You were there.
And I went to Villa and started the season really well. Got injured, had a hamstring. I've never had a hamstring in my life. Never. And then they went on a 23-match unbeaten run. And I'm on the bench every week.
Yeah.
Great set of guys. It was Platty was then making a big name for himself. Played Ian Ormonroyd on the wide left, the biggest left winger in the history of the game, sticks. And good team. And really enjoyed my time there. But I think anybody who knows me, if I'm not playing, I'm not the best person to be around if I'm not playing.
It's strange, the Espanyol, isn't it? Because I went to Barcelona a couple of years ago, and I went, I think I sang the pit, I went to Espanyol's ground and just to have a look. Because of you, probably, because and took my boy with me, and we had a look, and it's like, it's mad, because in that city there's no representation at all, because you go to Barcelona and it's like Disney World, Barcelona. It was ridiculous. And then we went to the other one, it was like tumbleweed. We went in the shop, and it's only a little shop, but still a really good club, aren't they?
I think historically, if you look at the history of Spanish football, I think they're 5th or 6th in terms of where they are.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing about them is there's not many of them in comparison. Yeah. Because Barcelona rule everything there.
Of course they do,
But the ones that are so loyal, and so they've got like a 30,000 core. Yeah. And they turn up anyway, wherever, good, bad, or indifferent. Like,
I'd just like them to be a bit more stick your chest out, because you're in the league and you're there, and it's almost like they're the main and we're here. But it was a great little ground. Yeah, I went back last year, and they treated me as if I'd been there 10 years. Did they?
Yeah, they really looked after me. Chairman had me in the boardroom and presented me with a shirt, and it was good. It was really good. But getting back to Villa, and then they called me, and Graham Taylor calls me and goes, Howard's been on Man City, and I know he knew about my relationship.
Of course. Yeah.
So he knew I was going to find out. He said, so I presume he spoke to you. He said, I don't want to lose you. I'll give you a new contract to show you how much I want you to stay. Yeah. Graham Taylor. Yeah. Which was unbelievable. I'd only been there 6 months at the most.
Something like that,
And I went, I get that, boss, but I want to play. And Howard, said to me, listen, I'm going to get Quinny in, I'm going to get you, Reedy's coming in. And so and then I went to City, and I had a couple of great years, loved it.
Did you?
Yeah. Really, very, very similar to Everton as a club, because you're in the shadow, apparently, of the other team, across the way, and United with Fergie at the time. And,
of course,
But Howard put a really good group of guys together. Obviously, they used to call us Everton reserves at one time because there's about 6 of us.
As well there,
Harper there, and Wayne Clark came as well. Yeah. Neil Poynton came. Mark Ward came, and
Ward.
But we went from like 5th from bottom to like 6th from top that year, and then the following year we had a good team. We had a good team.
Now Quinn, 75 games for City.
Yeah. It was. I enjoyed it. Yeah, it was good. I enjoyed my time there.
Then on back to Stoke for a bit.
Yeah.
And I saw that you play at Wembley in the league.
That was.
What was that like for you? Because obviously your club, and then getting the opportunity to play at Wembley for Stoke.
Huge. Loved it. To see, we played in the Ultra-Class final, and it took about 50,000 because good support Stoke.
Yeah.
And, hearing them all singing Delilah when we'd won what was the Ultra-Class. I'd been there with the FA Cup.
Yeah.
That day, it meant so much to me. Yeah. And, just being there with all my mates from school, who I'm still friends with, was with them last night, with all them there, because they go home and away at Stoke, still do, was, it was special. It was a special moment for me, and it didn't end well. You know, Lou McCarry told me that I was signing and then didn't do it, and then I find myself in what am I going to do? And that's when I went to Burnley, which was, you know, as enjoyable a period in my career as I've ever had. I loved my time at Burnley. Yeah. And I played really well at Burnley, and then the chairman, God love him, Frank Teasdale, says to me, Jimmy's gone, the manager, and have you seen the poll in the newspaper, Lancashire Evening Telegraph? And I went, no, because I lived in Manchester then. Yeah. He goes, yeah, the fans want you to be the manager. You've won the poll, so you may as well take it. And I go, I'm not really interested at the minute, Frank. I'm still playing. He went, no, the fans want you, so let's play a manager. I'll make you play a manager, like, you know. And I got the job on the Wednesday. My son was born on the Thursday. I joined the team in the hotel, Bristol away, in the morning, and we won 1-0. It was the first win in like 12 games. And the headline was, you can see what the coach has been working on all this last few days. I hadn't even seen the groups. I hadn't even seen the guys, you know. I was a player there, but so I knew them all. But it just shows you the narrative, you know. Yeah, you could see what he's been working on all week with this group, and you know, I'd met him for pre-match meal on Saturday at Bristol.
Whatever you said was obviously
perfect words. Yeah,
that's it, though, isn't it? I mean, a lot of stuff is reported. We haven't got a clue what's going on the outside. Yeah, you just see things and assess it, don't you?
Yeah, and you know, sometimes the narrative actually distorts what's actually happening, and it's very hard to get rid of that narrative once you've got it. You know, if you're perceived to be a long ball manager or whatever,
you can't get out of it.
Yeah. You know, I remember watching Bolton under Sam Allardyce with Yuri Djorkaeff, JJ Okocha. Played some unbelievable football. But it's Sam, long ball. Yeah. Long ball football.
Because of Kevin Davis, that was.
Yeah. But when you actually went and watched Bolton, it was anything but. They might have got it up there, but once they got it down, they were
playing.
Yeah. But,
well, that's, I mean, we love doing that, don't we? 9th in the second division with Burnley.
Yeah.
And then obviously Howard.
Yeah.
Gives you the call to come
back, and obviously that was it was strange. You know, when I look back, Frank, who'd give me the job, was a lovely man, and Frank said to me, "I know you're going to go, but I don't think you should. Yeah, we'll give you a new deal." Offered me a 5-year contract at Burnley because we'd done well. We finished 9th, but I'd put a lot of the kids in the team. And we'd done well, and we were building something, and it was strange. So the boss rings me and goes, I've got a job, got loads of money to spend. I think it's perfect for you. Come back. I'll be here 2 or 3 years. Everything goes well. Chances are you'll take it. You'll take it. So then you're like, you know, it's Everton. I can't turn that down. Yeah. I always remember my wife saying to me, it's too early. Stay at Burnley. Yeah. Just do this for the next...
Because you were still...
Yeah, I was young.
Still young, really young? Yeah.
And I...
So your wife's always right then?
Huh?
Your wife's always right then?
Well, she thinks she's... So, yeah, and it was... in hindsight, I knew very early it wasn't going to be what it should be. The boss had lost a bit of spark, and he was devastated that, I think, Peter Johnson had told him there's going to be more money than you've ever had, and there wasn't. No,
there's nothing.
You know, I remember some of the players that we were thinking we were going to try and get, and then, you know, it's just like we ended up getting people we could afford then.
Yeah, which is a different thing, isn't it?
Totally different thing. And it became early on, you know, that I realised that it wasn't going to be what we all hoped it was going to be. But, you know, it's one of them things. I always say this, that if it was tomorrow, I don't think I could turn it down again. Even knowing what I knew, it's going back to Everton, because the memories that you have and what you've done far exceed what you think might be the negative of that. In your head, you just want to recreate that so much and think, if we can do that again, chances are that that doesn't happen.
No.
It doesn't come around that easy. And it's not that easy. Otherwise, we'd all do it.
You just do it, yeah.
But and I think in hindsight, it was a wrong decision at that particular time. But as I've just said, I'd probably do it again tomorrow if it came round. But that's
glutton for punishment.
But it's just the pull of the club.
Yeah, yeah.
You know,
which is incredible, given you're steeped in Stoke, isn't it? That just shows you what the club.
Yeah, and you know, all them comments that players made, Dunks made. You know, once it touches your heart, it does. You can't. It's very hard to define to people what it means.
What
you
it
know,
means, yeah.
But like when Everton came over to Minnesota and played us last year, I'm so proud because it's like my team's coming.
Yeah.
And I want them.
And then you battered us. I mean, there was a couple of standout moments from that season. Coventry away in the League Cup, the all infamous Howard and Craig Short having a bit of a spat after the game, which was, as a fan, looked disrespectful from Craig Short. I'm saying that. You don't need to say that. Followed up by, obviously, the perfect result at the weekend. What was mad about that is, my brother actually was the kit man for a year in that season. And he used to tell me certain things of you know, what's going on and what isn't going on kind of thing. But that night was a bit of a mad one, wasn't it? That because we were better than that 4-1 at Coventry, and they battered us, didn't they, that night? And obviously Howard wasn't.
I think...
Were you in the dressing room then? Did you not see any of that?
No,
okay,
no, I didn't see any of it. But it was a culmination of the frustration that everybody had at that particular time, and it was difficult. It was it's not a period of my life in football that I hold with any, other than the fact that I'm working at the club that I love. There was nothing at that particular time that I can go, yeah, that was great. The great day was staying up on the last day of the season because I knew how much it meant to the manager. Yeah. He would have been absolutely devastated if he'd have been the manager when they got relegated. I can't tell you.
No.
You know, and...
well, again, the season, Palace at home, first day of the season, Slaven Bilic gets a goal disallowed off a corner, 0-0. Yeah. Header's not wrong with it. And then Lombardo goes and scores about 5 minutes later. Had that gone in, we had a few of those moments where if it had gone the other way, like football can, it might have been better. Yes, we still didn't have the players we needed. But once you're on the back foot...
when you're in there, Basil, which I was...
Yeah. Could you feel there was nothing there?
Yeah. I if somebody had said after 3 weeks, you'll stay up on the last day of the season, I'd have taken it there and then.
Okay. We did. I mean, listen, we get battered at Coventry and then we come back and beat Liverpool 2-0 3 days later, which is Mark David. I think they might have been Danny? Second or something, Cadamartri. Yeah. And obviously Ruddock's own goal, wasn't it? And that was a great day because they only had to turn up to beat us and all that. So even in the midst of that desperation, Howard did have that. Yeah. Still got to beat Liverpool in a key game. And obviously brought in Don Hutchison. And I've spoke to Don lots of times and he talks about that Coventry game of going in the manager's room at the end and he was just sat with the lights off crying because and you're talking about that emotion. I mean, what a horrible day that
we picked the team on the Friday. We stayed over on the Wirral and as always we'd have dinner and he'd go, right, come to my room, we'll pick the team tomorrow and we'd have a glass of wine and invariably next morning the team was never what we'd finished before. He'd changed the team and he'd gone his own way. And I remember coming through the tunnel and like streets packed with Evertonians. Yeah. And I'm looking on the bus at the team and I'm like, oh dear. And I didn't fancy us.
Right. No.
And I thought that then that the only way we win this game is if the crowd
drag us over the line.
And they did. They dragged us over the line again, as they've done the last 2 or 3 years. Certainly without the crowd the last 2 or 3 years, it would have been
a different thing,
But, so, and we stayed up and I think it was just a relief for everybody. But I remember going home and I got the call from the club basically saying, yes, and we've been relieved of you. And the club were great about it and they looked after, paid the contracts and they were great. But I was heartbroken.
Where?
Yeah. Because I think I realised then that in management, the chances of me going back there again,
that was it.
Yeah, that was my time.
Right.
You know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like probably really like most of the players of that era, that generation. If you went into coaching, my dream was to go back as the manager. Still.
Yeah.
No, I'm 63.
Yeah. And you still want
to. If tomorrow they rang, I'd be the happiest man in the world.
Yeah.
And be bullshit enough that I could do it.
Yeah.
Because that's what you think.
That's what you think, yeah.
And but no, I realised that was probably my time, and I was heartbroken, and went with Reedy then, and then started to get going again.
Get going,
but
yeah.
I can't tell you how difficult that year was.
Yeah. No, it was a horrible year, wasn't it?
Yeah.
And obviously you did.
But we stayed up.
No, we done it. Listen, it didn't. That's still.
Yeah.
We're still at 60 odd years or whatever.
Yeah.
So there you go. You spent some time at Reed, obviously Leeds. Done some stuff at Coventry, 2 spells at caretaker before leaving. The opportunity to move to the United States. I mean, this is a bit of a. And I guess you just sort of explained it as that. That's that chance gone. See, I was always surprised as a fan that. Because Peter Reid did so well at Sunderland, why Everton never ever went for him? Because he'd done a great job at Sunderland. It always surprised me with some of the choices we made, why he wasn't maybe one of the choices. And obviously you probably would have come along then as well. But how did the trip to, how did moving different continents come about?
Well, Phil Rowlands, who was the director at Stoke City. So whenever I'm not at Everton, I go to Stoke. I know the owner's still there. So it's one of my clubs, It's one of the Everton and Stoke are the clubs that, as soon as the results are on every week, they're the teams that I look for. And Phil, I should have got the job at Coventry, and I was devastated when I didn't. Really disappointed and angry. And Phil probably rang me at exactly the right time, and he went. We'd been with Coventry. We'd been to America the year before, and we went to Portland. And there was like 18,000 there for a friendly, and the atmosphere was unbelievable. And I'm thinking, this might have a chance over here. This might start taking off.
Yeah.
So anyway, Phil rings me and goes, and it's perfect timing because I'd been told I was getting the job, and then they gave the job to Ian Dowie at Coventry. Yeah. And I was really angry about it. And he went, listen, I'm going to start a club in America. And I want you to come and run it for me. I want you to build a club. It's not MLS, it's USL, so like Championship. If you like.
Yeah.
And he goes, I want to be the best club outside of the MLS that people go, that's how you should run a football club.
Okay.
And I want you to come and build it for me.
Right.
So, okay, think about it.
Yeah.
Go home. I always remember my daughter saying, what's the name of the team, Dad? I said, we haven't got a name yet. There's no name for them. What's the stadium like? We haven't got a stadium yet. What colours are they, my son said? What colours do we play in? And I go, we haven't got any colours yet. So that's how much in its infancy it was.
Oh, my God.
This was just an idea from Phil.
Yeah.
Anyway, we went there and we were settling Austin. First year.
Bit warmer than there. Bit warmer than Stoke.
Bit warmer than anywhere.
Yeah.
But a great city. Great place to live. And first year, very, very difficult, trying to work out what we needed. So once we'd had a year of knowing what we were, second year we win the league.
Brilliant.
Year after, we win the cup. So we're starting to build now.
Yeah.
And I think once Phil was in there, Phil started to realise the game's taking off here.
Yeah.
So he then gets a couple of people together and goes to the MLS and goes, we'd like an MLS franchise. How much is it going to cost? It's going to cost 100 million. It's going to cost this, but you can't do it in Austin. We don't want another team yet in Austin. We need one on the East Coast. So there's nowhere from DC on. Bearing in mind, there's no Miami and all that.
No.
There's nothing south of DC. So anyway, they settle on Orlando. Overnight, we moved the team, as you can do in America.
Yeah, it's just mad.
And we moved there, and we get there, and I always remember we did an interview with Pat Clark, who was one of the legendary voices of sport in Central Florida.
Okay.
He's been there years. So he's like doing Granada reports or BBC, Orlando, Central Florida.
Right.
And did everything. The NFL, he'd go up to do the Jacksonville Giants, whatever, the basketball. He was Mr. Everything. And we do an interview with Pat, and Phil tells him, we're going to bring Major League Soccer here. We've got 18 months to wait. We're going to do it. And at the end of the interview, Pat goes, right, wrap, that's done. Anyway, guys, I wish you all the best. You've got no chance. He said to us, you've got no chance of soccer, football succeeding here.
Right.
18 months later, we opened the stadium, 65,000 there against New York City. Kaka playing for us and in front of 65,000, And to this day, whenever I see Pat, I go, football's got no chance, has it, Pat, in Florida? Yeah. But it was an unbelievable journey.
But I mean,
I look back at that time incredibly fondly, because my wife always says to this day, even though we've been in Minnesota for 7 years and I've loved what we've done, I've never got that out of my system.
No,
because you can't take something from its inception.
I was going to say
nothing. Absolutely nothing.
How can you? Because this is always I've full disclosure, I've had Phil in here, and obviously I was in Orlando and I come to see you when you were there. But Phil's great, what a lovely fella, great fella, football fan. But how do you move from Austin, Texas to Orlando with nothing? And for you as a coach, or to start envisaging this is how we're going to do it, because your record, won 2 regular season champions, you got USL Coach of the Year. Did you know that you've got the best record of any US professional soccer team in its first 100 games? 66 wins, 22 draws and 12 defeats, scored 192 goals. I mean, that's some achievement. Yeah,
and the reason that I would probably never get over Orlando in here, in my heart, is because of what we did. Like I would be out 7 nights a week with my wife, turning up at Everton supporters clubs, Liverpool supporters clubs, Manchester United, and saying to them, I know we're not your team, but we can be your second team. Come and watch us. Come and watch the game. Come and watch the game. And I'm so proud of not me, the club.
Yeah, but you were part.
I was a massive part of what it is, and I drove it every day with this guy. Phil Rawlings is as good an executive as you could ever. Even tomorrow, if somebody said to me, you're starting a club, but you need somebody to start to drum up interest and get out, easy guy. Because he was 7 days a week, 7 nights a week. We were on the news, we were on the TV. People must have got fed up of us. And I remember Doc Rivers, who's a basketball coach, huge guy in America, and Doc won the NBA finals with the Boston Celtics. So he's a huge guy, great player, and now legend coach.
Nice.
And I'm in a restaurant, and he put his hands on my shoulders, his big black hands on my shoulder, and he went, what have you done to my city? It's purple. Because Doc he lived in Orlando, but he was living in Boston while he was managing there. But when he came home, he said, and we sat down, he said, I've just seen the growth of this, and we turned the city purple. Honestly,
it was
anybody who came used to go, I can't believe what you've done here. But that was hard work. And that's 7 years I was there. I loved every minute of it. I loved the fact of what we created, what we built. I love the fact that I had an hand in designing the stadium. They play in purple because I picked the colour. The strips in the early days, I designed the strips. It was one of them where you did everything.
You built that. We
started a youth academy that I had to run that for a while, and so it was incredible. 7 years of incredible amount of hard work, but just the fulfillment of watching it. And like now, when I go, I'll sit in the stadium and I think, we helped put all this together, which is a nice feeling.
There's again, been to Orlando many times, been to watch them at both stadiums. And when I come over, you played Philadelphia Union, drew 0-0. I was absolutely livid. But to see that, what was it like? Obviously, Kaka, that's ridiculous. What a footballer he was. And what was it like, that New York City game then? Because we were at the Citrus Bowl. Obviously, it's a huge NFL stadium, isn't it? Or it's been a World Cup stadium. But what were you like for that game?
When we realised that we'd got New York City, who were also an expansion team, as they call it, first year,
David Villa playing. Yeah.
Oh yeah, good team. Pirlo, you name it. They were all there. And I was unsure what sort of crowd we'd get. But because I knew, even as a USL team, we could get 30,000. We got 28,000. We got 24,000. So I knew there was football there.
Yeah.
And what I wanted to do, I didn't want the players to turn up on their own. I wanted us all be together.
Okay.
So we stayed in a hotel the night before in town, and I get up for breakfast with the players, and I'm going up to my room, but in the lift, and one of the ticket office guys comes, sees me, says, "Hey coach," he said, "it's going to be full today." I went, "You mean full?" He went, 65,000 sold out, and by the way, we could have sold more. Said the ticket office has been going crazy this morning. So I thought, great, Yeah. But when I came out the hotel to get on the team bus to go to the stadium, I couldn't believe it. There must have been 20,000 people couldn't get in the stadium, and there was just all these purple shirts everywhere. And it was, when you get that warm feeling that you go, oh my God. And I didn't want us to lose, but it was almost secondary on the day that we've pulled it off, if you like. We've done what we set out to do. Yeah. And Kaka equalises late on for a 1-1 draw, and it was that 7 years building up to that was as enjoyable part of my life as I've ever had, but it was 24/7 every day for the 2 years building up to that. When we went into the MLS.
That first season, you missed the playoffs by 4 points.
Yeah.
Which is incredible to come out the USL, to go into that and to get that close. And it was only 6 teams from each, where it's expanded now, hasn't it?
Yeah, and I think we second or third best still ever expansion team.
Yeah.
The results.
For that results, yeah.
So we were pleased with what we did, and, I tried to handle Kaka differently, and he wanted to play so much, Baz. He didn't want to let anybody down.
Right.
So when we went away, the place was packed because Kaka was playing. Yeah. But the record stated every time he was injured, when he came back, he was unbelievable. And I said to him, we need to manage your games.
Yeah.
Let's pick you for the games where we need you. Where home games especially.
Yeah.
But certain away games, and then you rest up, because mainly in America it's Saturday.
Yeah.
It's not midweek games.
No.
So he had time to prepare, and once he was fresh, he was still.
Oh, it's unbelievable.
He was still unbelievable. Like some of the stuff he'd do in training, Kaka at 35, 36 was unbelievable. And I used to say to the players, can you imagine when he was 24, 25? But then you realise he's won the Golden Ballon d'Or. One of the great players of and he was a great guy. In them days we used to, the leagues developed so much more now that we charter, you got your own plane. In them days we went commercial, so you had to queue up and get in the queue with everybody else, and everywhere you went, Buddy had time for everybody.
Lovely fella.
And I always remember we played in, really nice story about Ricky, really. We played in Portland, and wherever we went, there was kids with Brazil shirts, and the bus pulled off, and there was a little kid, and he started crying because he hadn't got his shirt signed.
Oh, okay.
Ricky made the bus stop, got the kid come on, took a picture with him, signed his shirt, and it showed you way that people can behave as a superstar.
Yeah.
You can be a good guy also.
Yeah.
And he was a great kid, and somebody asked him something, and he went, I am where I am. I am worth what I'm worth because of people like him. And he still had that at 36.
With all the stuff he'd done.
With everything he'd done. Ballon d'Or, European Cup winner, World Cup winner, Yeah, so he's a good guy.
Unbelievable. Obviously, was it a shock when they dismissed you then a year later? Well, because I would have a look at the results as well. You were 5 unbeaten, and you went to Dallas, which at that time they were. I think Oscar Pareja, who was the Orlando manager now, was there. They had Barrios and people like that.
They had a good team. But we didn't play well that night.
No. Did you know it was coming?
When Phil sold out to the Brazilians, because the club needed more capital, more investment.
Yeah, of course.
And I remember going home saying to my wife, "It won't be now, but it's
it's coming.
We're on the countdown of when it happens, you know.
Yeah.
And they used that as an excuse, you know. Bad performance on the road jeopardises our playoff chances and all that. So I got it, but you know, it was still a shock when it came because I was just so invested in what we built there, you know. Yeah. And I loved my time there.
Yeah.
You know, and what people don't get is you've got no history. You have to create it yourself. It's like somebody saying to you tomorrow, right, you're in the Premier League next year. You've got 8 weeks to put a team together to go and compete in it.
No. How'd you do it?
You haven't got anything.
No.
You've got no players.
Nothing. Yeah. Yeah. Because even things, I went to the headquarters, which are in the thing, Phil, and there was a bar, and he'd put a bar in there, but he had the picture of that New York City, the Citrus Bowl full, and it was like, you're just creating this thing for it, and obviously all the honours that you'd won, 2 USL Pro Leagues, 3 Pro Cups, coach of the, all of these things you put together, and then obviously that. I mean, I'll say this, you don't need to say this, but when they sacked you and then brought Jason Christ, I didn't have a clue why, because I'd watched New York City, who looked as though he hadn't had I think he was a forward, so it looked like I know you were a forward player, but he looked like he was a forward who just went, forget about defence, because New York City would concede like 6 at home under him and stuff, and it just seemed an odd one to me. And I had a chat with Phil Rawlins about, how come you've picked this fella because of that? And he was such like, I think it was other people being in his ear, but to me, it was a strange appointment. But so, you know, you don't then go off and go to somewhere safe. You go off and do the whole thing again.
Yeah.
Off to Minnesota.
One of the reasons they gave me the job, I think, is because
you had done it,
and they'd seen we were competitive from day one.
Oh God, yeah.
You know, that first year, I think the 3 teams that finished at the top of the Supporters' Shield, we'd beaten them all, home and away. So we hit the ground running.
Yeah.
And I think they wanted somebody to go, we don't want to be terrible. Anyway, I take over, and they had the best part of 18 months to prepare.
Yeah.
To go into MLS. I get there on November the 1st, I think. So I've got all of December.
Yeah.
Got the draft in January, and we start 25th of January pre-season.
Yeah.
So I go in and I go to it was then the technical director, Manny. I go, right, what have we got? And he went, what do you mean, what have we got? I go, you must have a list of players. You've had 18 months to get ready. And no, we haven't. I've been waiting for the new manager. I go, we've got 6 weeks to come round. We've got to prepare. He kept 2 fullbacks from the USL team.
Yeah.
Who weren't good enough. So we had to put a full roster together. Again. And we finished 4th from bottom that year. We won 10 games out of 32. I still think it might be the best coaching job I've ever done. To have won 10 games with the group of players that we had. I had no training facility. Every day that we woke up, we had to wait for a phone call where we could go and train.
Oh my God!
It was like somebody had said to him, Tuesday, starting in the MLS on Monday, the following Monday.
Yeah, off we go.
The club had over 18 months to put it together, so that became a real hard one. Very, very early.
I watched you and you played Portland in the first game, got beat 5-1, didn't you? And then
the crazy thing about
go on. No, sorry, go on.
The crazy thing about that game, if you ever watch it, we got it to 2-1 in the 82nd minute. We go down. Christian Ramirez hits the post to go 2-2 in the 82nd minute, and we get beat 5-1. And it's one of them that you come off and you go, maybe they were better, but 5.
That's a tough place to go, Portland. But I watched your first home game, which is in an American football stadium.
Yeah, the snow game.
I had it on. I put it on. My missus is, what are you doing? She said, this new team. I can't wait to watch. So I'm on the couch. And I went, just look at this.
Yeah.
It was ridiculous. You played Atalanta, who were a good side. You had Martin, young, full of South America, Thiago Almeida, Almiron played.
Yeah, they had a really good team. But
ridiculous.
You know the irony of that was for me, and I still talk about it now. The game shouldn't have been played, but it was a live game.
Yeah. So
on national TV. Okay. So what happened was they didn't want to cancel it.
No.
Because it's different now. You've got Apple and you've got their own channel. But in them days, for them to get a live game on ESPN or on Fox, prime time, was huge.
Yeah. Okay.
So anyway, they go, let's have the 2 expansion teams. And anyway, I get to the stadium and literally it's a foot deep. The snow is a foot deep. And they're starting to clear the lines.
Yeah.
But the actual snow on the pitch is, honestly, is like 10 inches deep. Yeah. So then they start to try and get it off. So they get a lot of it off, but then the snow comes again.
Yeah.
The irony of the game is we get beat 6 against a really good team, by the way.
Yeah.
We had all Scandinavians and they had all South Americans. So you would think the Scandinavians
might cope a bit better.
The Swedes and the Norwegians and the Danes, they've got guys who have never seen snow ever. Yeah. Half their team have never seen snow. But we got beat 6-1 and they were good. They were really good.
But even in that, because I had a little look last night, just refreshed it, and I think it's 3-1. And their keeper, just before half time, makes an unbelievable save to go 3-2. I think Kevin Molino misses a chance, and you're thinking,
no, at 3-2,
you never know. I mean, listen, they had Martinez.
And then the worst part about that game against that particular team is we started to really press in the second half. And at 3-1, we're still in the game.
Yeah, of course.
The next goal was going to be important. And we have a great chance, and then they go down and make it 4. And then after that, They kept catching us on the break.
On the play,
Joseph Martinez, Miguel Almiron, people know now in Newcastle, quick as anything. They had a guy called Yamil Assad. They had Tita Villalba. They were really good on the counter-attack, and every time they broke. And in the end, 6 probably did us a favour because they had about 4 breakaways late on, and didn't score.
That could have been more.
Yeah.
But like you say, you'd end up getting your first win. 4-2 against Real Salt Lake. Yeah. Kevin Molino, Ramirez too, ended up having a spell at Aberdeen, I think, or in Scotland. Did, and he's back there now, isn't he? Yeah. You beat Orlando City. Yeah. Ramirez again. Yeah. How good did that feel?
Yeah, it did. And but more importantly for me was going back there. We got an incredible reception. And it was nice to feel that love, if you like, because you know what supporters are like. You're invested all your life,
of course,
and they didn't forget what we'd done, what we'd done there, and all that. But the first 18 months in Minnesota were tough, and the club offered me a new contract, and I said I don't know if I'm going to sign it. And Bill says to me, "Why?" I said, "There's too many decisions that are being taken here that I have no control of, and no disrespect to the people who are here. I've got far more knowledge, far more history within the game, and I just don't feel as though I can sit here and make decisions are being made that affect the team and affect me without me having a say." And he went, "All right, you can make all the football decisions." So I take great pride in the fact that the following 4 years, we really put a decent team together. Went to the Western Conference final, went to the Open Cup final, which is like the FA Cup there, and didn't quite get over the line. But when, we were bottom third financially in the whole league, and we punched above our weight every year.
Well, just looking at it, I mean, that first season, 9th out of 11, but 36 points as the first season. Next year, 36 points, similar, 10th out of 12. But then 2019, 53 points, fourth overall. 2020, fourth, got to the conference state final, and had to deal with COVID last year about that. Now 2021, fifth, 49 points. 2022, 48 points, sixth in the playoffs, lost on penalties to get through there. I mean, that is someone who's built something and then built a good level of a team. And I mean, how difficult was COVID for you having to cope with that? Because obviously, I spoke to you actually. We done an interview, didn't we? In the COVID
we did 50 days in a hotel.
God, that's a lot.
50 days
that is ridiculous.
In a hotel.
Yeah,
and got tested every morning. Got tested after training. And the league, there was no content for ESPN or whoever. Yeah. No sports were going on.
No.
So they went to the MLS and said, "Why don't you put a tournament on?"
Yeah.
So we went to Disney.
Yeah.
We all stayed down there. Then they put a tournament on. And so every team was in a part of the hotel, and you couldn't move from your part of the hotel. So you get up in the morning, go and get your nose tested and swabbed, and everybody's clear, train, back to your room. So we had 50 days of that. The irony of it was the tournament, the further you got in the tournament, the more money went up. So the club were getting more exposure and getting financially. But the players were going, oh, we've got another week here. We've got another 4 or 5 days here. And we ended up getting to the semi-final. So we stayed 53 days we were there.
That's
and
amazing.
it was incredibly difficult.
Yeah.
Literally, all you did is you got up in the morning, breakfast, did your test, train, back to your room.
That was it.
That was it. And you had a time that you could leave your room as a group to go for a walk in the fresh air. So hours could be 2 o'clock.
Yeah.
So we'd go for a walk around the perimeter of the hotel on Disneyland.
Yeah.
Get back to your room, and that was it.
That was you done.
You were looking forward to going for a walk, around.
To get outside.
But it was surreal because we've all been Disney, and to be at Disney and not one person to be there, it was incredible.
The strangest thing.
Yeah, it was, but it was, it was, something that you won't forget in a hurry.
No.
I always remember my daughter ringing my wife and saying, "Is Dad okay?" He says, "Why?" He goes, "He's sending me some of the weirdest stuff that he's seen on the internet and all that,
Just doing anything.
Yeah. I said, "Well, you've got like 8 hours to kill.
I'm in a room
with
with
what do you
nothing
want me
to
to do?"
Yeah. Oh my God. We talked about it before, but Everton came over while you were at Minnesota. I mean, to see that, for me visually, to see that 6-1 in the snow, and then to come to Minnesota and to see the ground, and it was absolutely brilliant. I mean, we got beat 4-0. It wasn't a great experience as an Evertonian, but everything around it, we'd been to the mall, and I saw you at the mall the night before, didn't I? And all of that, and then at the ground, brilliant atmosphere, tremendous,
great stadium,
great facilities, great stadium, And that night you were we were good. You were superb, battered Everton, absolutely superb.
And what I didn't want it to do, and I said this, like my wife was saying, "What do you think?" And I said, I just want us to show that we can play. Because I still think there's this stigma of people who don't know much about the MLS. Go, it's a retirement home. Yeah. It's anything but a retirement home. No. And I knew that when we played Everton, I told Mike Keane, who's obviously Mike's a twin. Yeah. And his twin, Will, is married to my daughter. So, I see Mike now and again when I come home. And I did say to him, I said, we got a player who's pretty special, He went, "What's his name?" I said, "His name's Emmanuel Reynoso." I said, "Number 10 for Boca Juniors." Bit of a troubled background, but in terms of talent. And Mike said to me at night, after about 15 minutes, people on the bench going, "Number 10's not bad, is he?" Like, you know what I mean? And I knew he would be. Yeah. And the league is far better than people think. There's far more individuals who could come to Europe and come to England that people don't look at. You know as well as I do how many people I've mentioned. Alphonso Davies from Bayern Munich. I've told everybody who I know in England should go and sign this kid. They won $1 million for him at first.
Vancouver, wasn't he?
Yeah. And last year they turned 80 million down from Real Madrid, and they'll probably go there on a free now. Yeah. I had Kyle Larin, who's scoring now for Mallorca. 6'3" centre forward who can run, and I told people to buy him. Nobody did, and I can name a dozen players who have recommended.
John Duran now at Aston Villa, obviously he's at Chicago Fire.
He was in the league, and we played against him, and first thing you go, how old is he? Jesus, he was like 19 then, like 6'2", powerful, as quick as hell, and So I think what he's done has probably surprised a few. But the reason Villa bought him is you look at the raw materials and everything's there. It's like when I rang everybody about Alphonso Davies, he's like 19 years of age. He's 6 foot. The most incredible athlete you've ever seen. And I rang everybody after we played them. I remember Cole Robinson, the coach, and his assistant going, "Wait till you see this kid we've got." And I went, "Where have you had him from?" He said, "Well, Liberian. You know, when the war was on, his family arrived in Canada, and we picked him up in like a trial game. And he basically ran the length of the pitch against us and scored. And it was like the speed of which he's running and he's doing stuff. I'm like, oh my God, like, you know. But you can only tell people. And but there is talent there. I think the World Cup being there in the next 2 years is going to be huge for the game there. You know, I think it's only going to grow bigger and better. And as most things do, the Americans, they do most things pretty well.
Yeah.
So, and because it's not going to be the lack of funding.
No.
They're going to, you know, you've seen the stadiums.
Yeah.
These stadiums that they're building. I think it was, I think Cincinnati have just built a brand new training ground for 134 million or something. This is state of the art, you know, and that's where the game's going now.
To me, I mean, Chelsea took Caleb Wiley, who's another one who's going to be, he can run the kid left-sided, really good. I mean, obviously, we just talked about your record, playoffs every year, and then obviously that's come to an end. Was that a shock that your time at minute?
Didn't see it coming.
You didn't see it coming?
No. As I said, I saw the Orlando. Change of ownership. I knew something had happened there. And they'd probably want a South American, which they did. But the Minnesota, no, I didn't see it coming. Got a really tight relationship with the owner. We had a new CEO, and I think that changed the dynamic a little bit. And she wanted to, I think, put her own stamp on the club, which, rightly or wrongly. But, hey, I went to America sort of 15 years ago. I've had 2 jobs. You know, I've had 2 7-year stints at a couple of clubs, like, you know, so I can't complain. America's been great to me and my family, but I want to stay, work. I want to coach or GM, or I want to be back in the game. And I've got too much enthusiasm and knowledge, I think, to sit at the home and let that all go to waste.
I was going to say, but I mean, what is next?
I'm working. Yeah. I want to get back in and work. I want to share this knowledge, experience I've got, and you know, I've still got the same enthusiasm for the game. I love nothing I like more than going and watching and studying people. You know, I'm going down to Ipswich next week, see what Kieran McKenna's doing for a few days, and
brilliant.
and you know, I like to do that. Last year I was at Villa for a few days, and Man City, and just basically seeing what other people are doing. And the bottom line is, none of them are doing anything that you've never done. They just their own little way of doing it, and their personality on their particular clubs.
What if I ask you this one, because you've done it in both? What do you think the difference is coaching in the United States than to England? Is it players? Is it difference in mentality with players, or
a little bit of difference in the mentality? Obviously, the younger player in America is still very much in its infancy. That's changing now. I've seen a big change in the fact that when I got there, nobody had a proper academy. Now they've all got an academy. So now the coaching at a younger age is far better. You know, some of them kids didn't start playing till they were 10 and 11. Now it's like here. The kids who are 5 and 6 are in clubs, and they're building from the bottom up. And the pyramid was always upside down. You know, it literally was like that.
Right.
You know, and now all of a sudden there's a base there. Like Dallas, you've seen Dallas. Dallas have sold probably 20 players to Europe over the last 5-6 years. Their academy is incredible. You know, hotbed of Latinos playing in Dallas, and so they're producing players now. And I think that the World Cup being there in 2 years' time is going to give it a huge boost, because trust me, they're going to invest in this. In fact, the Pochettino's gone to the national team job. You know, whatever you think, Pochettino's been at 3 or 4 of the biggest clubs in the world. You know, so the fact that he's taken the job, but he hasn't taken it, trust me, not for money. No. He was going to get the money wherever he went. You know, I think he sees it as an incredible opportunity to grow the game, and for him to be, he'll be revered there, be like a god there if he was to. They're going to be there. Now, can they get out to the group stage and actually go and do something? Because if they can, it'll be an incredible fillip for the game.
2 questions before we finish.
Okay.
These are the quicker ones.
Go on.
Your 5-a-side team that you played with, and then your 5-a-side team that you coached.
I thought you said quicker.
Well, you've got to. I think you've probably got to be in the five-a-side team. So you have to pick 4 fellas that you played with to go with you.
Played with Nev in goal, sure. Sheeds plays every time. Rats would play at the back. Not much getting past the Rats. How many of us is that? 4.
That's 4 with you.
Need a forward then, maybe. I'd play a little.
You playing just off it, yeah.
I'd probably go Sharpie.
Really?
Yeah. I don't know why Trevor Stevens is not in there because five-a-side's made for him, innit? Yeah. I'm just looking at your mug there. Alan Ball would probably get in it, I would think, and I played against him, so.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a tough one. Played with some good players, you know.
Yeah.
Obviously, Kaka would get in any team that I played in.
Yeah.
Kevin Molino, a guy that probably nobody's heard of, but trust me, Reynoso. So now I've got to
So you've got 3 attackers,
I've got 3 attackers, but you wouldn't get the ball off them 3.
Okay.
And then...
I'll come and watch you coaching this guy. These are all right, goals.
And in goal would be... who have I coached in goal? It'd probably be Tony Coton, or I played with. Tony Coton would be in goal.
Okay.
He'd be great in goal, great off the field, great on a night out. And then defensive-wise, I would probably go... barring injuries, would have been a great player. I'm going to say Paul Lake at Manchester City.
Okay.
Like he was,
What a footballer he was.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
And you used to hear all these stuff about these young players at Man City when, it was David White, it was Brightwell, it was all these guys. And I remember Lakey's name always got mentioned. And I thought, see, oh my God, what a player.
Yeah, that good.
Yeah. Actually, Paul McGrath would have been in that team as well.
Hell of a player.
Oh my God. Arguably one of the best players I've ever played with who never trained. He was best, honestly, never trained.
No.
Sat on a bike and we'd like putting his thumbs up while we were running around. And Villa, Graham Taylor used to get after us a little bit, we worked hard in training, And Paul would be there doing this. And great guy, unbelievable talent.
Yeah.
Brilliant in the air, quick as anything. Used to do this thing where the keeper would kick it and he'd nudge the centre forward and then back heel it out the air to the fullback. And the first time I saw him do it, I go, hey, lucky that is. And then he'd do it every week.
You realised he started.
Yeah, he'd do it every week. Unbelievable. Great guy as well.
I just thought of my last question.
Go on then.
Keep coming. I could sit here for another hour, but I've kept you for long enough.
No, go
on. Obviously, Everton are leaving Goodison Park.
Yeah, devastated.
What does it mean to you, and how do you feel about that?
I think I'm going to be really emotional, like most people will be. Still think, to this day, it's the most atmospheric ground in the country. There's not a stadium like it when it's under the lights. We briefly touched on it. That day that we stayed up on the last day, what's gone on with Frank in the last couple of years and Dashi, the supporters have got the club over the line. I think if putting everything into it, if that had been another club, they'd have got relegated. It was like the will of the people wouldn't let them get relegated. So, yeah, I'm going to be devastated when the old lady goes. Too many incredible memories. But it remains to be seen. The stadium's going to be beautiful, we know. I just hope that the Freakins come in. We can get rid of all the negativity that we've had around us for the for ages. Just get ourselves set financially and start to build a club that we're all proud of, because the club deserves it. The supporters deserve it.
Adrian, thanks for your time.
No, I've loved it.
I'm looking forward to having to sit up at 1 o'clock in the morning to watch your next MLS team. Hopefully,
I hope so.
Hopefully that's not too far away. But I wish you all the best.
Cheers, mate.
Thank you very much for coming in.
Pleasure.